Hello, this is Tim Rogers. You are watching Kotaku.com. Final Fantasy VII was released in 1997. Shortly after that, I moved to Japan, where I lived for 10 years. You can live in Japan for 10 years too. Just do what I did. Go there and be resourceful. Final Fantasy fan though I am, I've never played Final Fantasy VII in Japanese. I've been doing that recently, and I'm noticing all sorts of tiny little differences between the Japanese and English versions of the game. Last time, our friends marched in a parade, crossed the ocean, and had a long conversation on a dock about Barrett's hilarious sailor suit. Today, they'll take a little break in the resort town of Costa del Sol, and then get on with their quest to find Sephiroth. Our party members split up at Costa del Sol. This is an excellent introduction to Final Fantasy VII's dedication to hanging out. It lets its characters breathe in the environments. This is a tiny, tiny segment of the game, yet it is lovingly realized. Depending on who is and who is not in our party, we can experience different mini-scenes and dialogue options. If Red 13 isn't in our party, he's taking a nap in some shade. If we talk to a nearby youth, she tells us, "I heard that big dog talks like a human." That's cool, though it's weird. I just gotta ask, first of all, why does everyone keep calling him a dog? He is clearly a lion, right? In Japanese, the kid gives a little more detail. The translator was likely working through the game in a linear fashion, unaware of plot twists that were yet to come. This line might not have made immediate sense, so the translator truncated it. "Watashi kiichatta ano ookina inu hito no kotoba hanasu no. Ji-chan atsui yo date hen nano." I heard that big dog spoke human words. It said, "Ji-chan, it's hot." That's weird. Ji-chan is a babyish, little kidly way of saying grandpa. It's on the maturity level of hop-hop, or grandpappy, or some such. We learned back in the Shinra building jail in Midgar that Red 13 talks in his sleep, so he's sleeping and dreaming of his grandpappy. He's revealing that he is, in fact, a tiny baby child pretending to be a grown-up. It's reasonable that the translator missed this, because the story isn't going to make a big deal out of it until somewhat later. We make our way to the beach. Hojo, Shinra's science guy, is reclining in a beach chair with a couple girls in bikinis surrounding him. Cloud says, "Hojo," and Hojo replies with another top 100 hot text box. Sometimes, you just gotta do something like this. This is faithful to the Japanese, in which he says, "Tamani wa kouyu no mo ii mono da ne." Sometimes it's nice to do something like this. However, he says this super colloquially in Japanese, as though he had not brazenly tried to kill Cloud and all his friends just a few days earlier. This is the story showing us that Hojo, in addition to being a mad scientist, is also sort of a chill, attractive guy who might be the same age as Cloud. One of the girls says, after we're done talking to Hojo, "He never takes off his lab coat, even in this heat. I guess that's the mark of an intellectual." In Japanese, she says, "Kono atsusa no naka, jikken fuku o nugu koto wa nai. Chiteki na otoko no dandism yo ne." There's a great example of a weird English loan word in here. Even in this heat, he does not remove his lab coat. Such is the dandyism of an intellectual. Dandy is a word of fascinating depth in Japanese. In English, the definition of dandy is a little bit particular. Wikipedia describes a dandy as, historically, a man who places particular importance upon physical appearance, refined language, and leisurely hobbies, pursued with the appearance of nonchalance and a cult of self. A dandy could be a self-made man who strove to imitate an aristocratic lifestyle, despite coming from a middle-class background, especially in late 18th and early 19th century Britain. In Japanese, dandy just sorta means cool, confident dude, though it sorta means that in what I promise you is a colloquially complex way. In summary, the Japanese use the word dandism. By the way, yes, that's dandism, not dandyism. In shampoo commercials and car commercials. Hojo gives us a clue where Sephiroth is headed. Of course, on our way out, we just have to talk to this helpful surfer, who gives us some handy info about status ailments. And then, heck yes, ogle this hot text box. "Hey, I'm no idiot. I never count my chickens before they hatch." Pretty good, huh? I love this text box so much I could cry. Let's back up for a second. First, he says, "At least that's what they always say, don't they? Be prepared and you'll never fear." So the whole speech in Japanese is, "Yoku iu desho, sonae areba urei nashi, toranu tanuki no kawazan yo tte ba, boku tte interi." Yoku iu desho is translated as, "At least that's what they always say, don't they?" Though it's actually more like, "as they say," prefacing a sequence of two idioms. Be prepared and you'll never fear, and don't count your chickens before they hatch. Don't count your chickens before they hatch in Japanese, by the way, is toranu tanuki no kawazan yo, don't count the skins of tanuki tanukis you haven't caught yet. The most telling bit here, if you ask me, is the closing, which in English is translated as, "Hey, I'm no idiot." In Japanese, it's bokutte interi, which means I'm interi. Interi is a Japanese slanged truncation of the word intelligent, as specifically derived from the word intelligentsia. I'm interi is a slangy way of saying, I'm pretty smart, huh? The translator swerved right toward, I'm no idiot, which I feel was actually a good call. In English, we tend to say what we're not, instead of plainly stating, even jokingly, what we are or think we might be. Yeah, that's enough linguistic psychology for today. Our buddies follow Sephiroth's trail up into the mountains. We see a man sitting to the side of the mountain path. If we talk to him, he tells us, I just passed a guy in a black cloak back there. Skoshi mae ni surechigatta kuroi manto no yatsu ga yo. This is a good time to look back on our journey to this point. We're on the trail of Sephiroth, who killed President Shinra in Midgar before disappearing. Every location we visit earns us a clue as to Sephiroth's whereabouts. These clues always come in the form of some inconspicuous NPC telling us they saw a man in a black cloak or a man in a black cape. Kuroi manto no otoko. This is going to continue for some time. The English script calls Sephiroth's outfit a black cape or a black cloak interchangeably. When reviewing the English footage, hey, by the way, thanks for the English footage, lifestream.net. When reviewing the English footage, I kept thinking, man, I wonder what they're saying in Japanese. I bet this is something interestingly different. It's not. They are literally saying man in a black mantle, where mantle is the Japanese word for mantle, which is a cool English word meaning cloak or cape. I'm looking at Sephiroth in my mind's eye right now. Oh, I'm also looking at him on Google image search. If you put a gun to my head and asked me to describe this guy, I would not say he's wearing a black cape. I would probably say he has huge, long, silver white hair down to about his butt crack. Or I'd say he's carrying a goddarn 8-foot-long samurai sword. What part of this 3D model is supposed to be a cape? Look at the concept art. He's got some little squirrel suit flaps back there, maybe. Maybe you could get away with calling that a trench coat, though not a cape. I don't know, man. I mean, how am I supposed to suspend my disbelief for all the other plot nonsense in the game when it's continually asking me to believe that every person who sees Sephiroth remarks on his cape and not his ridiculous sword or his wacky hair? This all reminds me of a friend I used to have in Japan. She was afraid of either birds or dogs. Which one she was afraid of is, unfortunately, none of your business. One day, she was trying to get rid of some concert tickets she couldn't use. She asked if I wanted them, and I said, no. She said, maybe your friend wants them. And I said, which friend? And she said, you know who I'm talking about. And I was like, hey, I have a lot of friends, okay? And she was like, I don't know his name. And I was like, describe him. And she said, he's that guy with the short hair. And I was like, all of my guy friends are guys with short hair. And she was like, you totally know who I'm talking about. Well, this went on for about 5 more minutes, and it was excruciating. It turns out she was talking about literally the only guy I knew who had a beard. There's no way Sephiroth could conceal that sword. Well, then again, Cloud can conceal 2 full-grown adult people in his pockets. We travel up a weird roller coaster train track toward the city of Corel. If we head off down a somewhat secret side path before entering the city, we encounter a text box that is definitely in my top 100 RPG English text boxes of all time. Got no job. I can't even show my face. Bout all that's left for me is to just live in this hole all day. This is beautiful. I used to be like this guy. Which of us does not, at some point, live somewhere all day? In Japanese, this guy has an equally quirky way of speaking. 仕事がねえんじゃ。店頭さんに顔見せてきねえ。こうして穴蔵暮らしってわけよ。The English is faithful in its poetic cadence. The phrase anagura gurashi is cute. It's the word anagura. Ana means hole, and gura means storage, so anagura means cellar, mashed with the word kurashi, to live. Hitori means alone. Hitori gurashi means to live alone. Anagura gurashi means to live in a cellar. So that's a pretty cool word. Like I've warned you before, the Japanese you learn in these videos might literally never be of any use to you. And anagura gurashi might be the most worthless word yet. Oh well. When we enter the town of North Corel, Barrett gets his self yelled at by a bunch of angry dudes. They berate him. They call him a walking death sentence in English. And they call him shinigami, god of death or grim reaper in Japanese. After getting their fill of smacking Barrett around, these yokels utter a final insult before moseying off. You ain't even worth the effort. Don't waste your time talking to that techno freak.
What?
Did we miss something about Barrett's taste in electronic music? It turns out that this is an incredible translation mistake. In Japanese, the man says, "Konna dekunobo ni kamatteru to roku na koto ga nee na." Nothing good can come of associating with this dekunobo. The katakana for de is the katakana for te, with two little dots on it. I'm sure a lot of people watching this already know that. I'm sorry, it's just some people might not, you know. So, dekuno minus those two little dots is tekuno, which means techno, technology, or techno music. Maybe the translator had eye strain. Maybe he'd been awake for 124 consecutive hours, staring at a CRT VGA monitor which was elevated too high above the middle of his line of sight. Maybe he wasn't blinking enough. Did you know that dry eyes is the #1 cause of double vision? Those two little dots might have disappeared under a blur of inadequate tear film. So this guy is saying Barrett is a dekunobo, a wooden boy, which is a type of traditional wooden doll. To refer to a human being disparagingly as a dekunobo is to call them dead weight, good for nothing, human baggage, worthless, garbage, ineffectual. Ironically, this destroyed town of North Corel houses a ropeway station, serving the big fancy rich people's resort, the Gold Saucer. This is the third slum town we've seen so far in Final Fantasy VII, which sits beneath a fancy luxury zone. Did someone say theme? Our buddies have an inkling Sephiroth is at the Gold Saucer, so they head there. At the ropeway station, Barrett tells us why the people think it's his fault that the town done blowed up. A couple years ago, Shinra came to town wanting to build a Mako reactor to replace the coal mines. Well, the reactor blew up later and Shinra burned the town down to cover it up. Look at this though. Village headman? What? Is that even a word? In Japanese, this is soncho, which means mayor or village elder. What is a village headman? Let's do an experiment. Let's ask Google Translate and, oh my god, what? Heck, I thought I was here to teach other people Japanese, not learn myself English. That seems like as good a place as any to cut it off for now. I'll see you back here next time, where we're gonna get into the Gold Saucer, which is kinda like the Disneyland of the Final Fantasy VII world. Kingdom Hearts came out several years after Final Fantasy VII. I wonder if in the remake it's just gonna be Disneyland. We'll find out in 10 years when the Final Fantasy VII remake comes out. Though also, please watch our next episode, which will be out much sooner than that.